keep out different?
People.
Fans were awesome. Environment's better than anything I've ever experienced.
There's a lot of great things happening at Tennessee Athletics.
I'm excited to be in Knoxville, Tennessee right now. I believe this city is going to be upside down tonight.
Season-long party continues on Rocky Top.
This is about as good as it gets. This is wild in here right now.
This should be called Rocking Top, not Rocky Top. The place is shaking already.
How much fun is this, man? I love it.
University of Tennessee, the first school in history to host all 3 game days between football and basketball. So there you go. It's lit.
This place, when they're good, is as loud and as electric as the theater.
There are very few places that are as beautiful as the Great Smoky Mountains.
Couldn't be more excited about the success that we can have here.
Astronauts coming down to be part of this.
See? We got football going, both basketballs, baseball, softball. We even got balls breaking records in space. In space, man. Okay, I see. That's not enough. Good, 'cause we've been doing this a long time.
Here comes Tennessee through the power team.
The fans here, the best fans in the country.
They can smell a second straight national title.
This might be the most lit crowd we've had all season.
Ham, Zach.
Tennessee dribbles out the clock. 2 seconds, 1 second. And the Lady Volunteers of Tennessee have repeated as national champions.
The loudest environment I've ever witnessed in
Everybody
person.
standing at Thompson Bowling Arena. What a roar from this crowd, and they've been in this game all night long. Pandemonium reigns.
And here we go. Well, if that doesn't get you excited for this upcoming college football year, I'm not sure what will. Oi, fellow comrades, it is Squidtard here, and that is Lucas Sharp. He's been working on his headphones. You got those working? Okay, good. Spectacular. Well, this is it, the first episode of the VOLSTAR podcast. I've been looking forward to it all week, and I'm super excited to get this show started. I've been wanting to do a show like this for a really long time now, and I did all the the sports shows and stuff like that back in the past when Squidtard was just one thing, one channel alone. But when I split to Squidtard Sports, I didn't really interact with the college football fan base over here too often, and people always interacted with me over on Squidtard and told me like sports questions over there. So I thought the best idea was to have another show dedicated to the good old sports fans. And what other way to do it than to have a show about Tennessee football, and pretty much college sports everywhere. We call it the VOLSTAR podcast here with my buddy Lucas Sharp. We're currently in search of a third co-host to go along with the 3 stars up there. You know what I mean. You get my point. But yeah, really excited to get this thing started. See, we already have some people. Anthony Z and Razorbacks Rule. What's up, you guys? Glad you could jump on in here to the live stream. So, yeah, I just got through. There's been a big storm up in the sky up here in East Tennessee. It's been going on all day long, and the worst part of it just got past us heading over to where Lucas is. So share your prayers with him is all I can say.
To me, thank you, Squid.
Yeah, and I just realized the audio on your end was turned off, so I apologize for that.
Oh, you're good. I feel like it was somewhat... My headphones just decided to just not work, but I finally got them to work.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that's the case. So, yeah, really excited to get this show started. Now, of course, you guys, if you're tuned into this show, I imagine most of you already know me and know most of the stuff I do on here. I've been a major Tennessee fan for as long as I've known, YouTube, at least dating back to 2015 when I, started my work on the internet. And then, I started my channel in 2016, started doing Tennessee football videos, all that kind of stuff. And it's always been kind of a thing where I wanted to do a show about Tennessee sports, and what other way to do it than to do it like this. And of course, as a UT student, I feel like it is my obligation to talk about Tennessee sports as much as possible. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. Now over to Lucas over here. Of course, many of you who are here probably know who he is, but Lucas, if there's anything I'd like to ask you, it's like, what's your story on being a Tennessee fan?
Well, as a Tennessee fan, how I basically became a Tennessee fan is, I think I've already told you this story before. I was at my grandma's house, and she put on the Tennessee-Utah State game back in 2014, and I was like, oh my gosh, what's this? And she was like, this is football and everything, and I was like, this is amazing. This is the best thing I've ever seen. Ever since then, I've just bled orange, and it's just been like the greatest thing ever. I love meeting all these people online. I love watching Tennessee football. It's like a big thing that just brings us all together, and yeah. And I remember that same year I got into football, my uncle, he got me a Tennessee hat, and he got me a DVD from the Tennessee's 2004 season. That was actually this year that I was born in, was 2004. So it's actually kind of a weird coincidence. But I remember watching that DVD hundreds of times, and it was the best thing ever. Just watching Tennessee make the SEC championship game.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I've never really been able to neither of us have been really able to experience what that's like, or the prime of Tennessee football, but it doesn't look like we have to wait too much longer after the season that we had last year. So I feel like we're starting the show at a perfect time, hopefully getting to witness our Vols win a championship for the first time, at least in our lifetime.
Yeah.
So, really excited to get this show going. Before we get into the topics for today, make sure that if you haven't already, give this live stream a like, and sub up to Squidtard if you have not already. We do this show, or at least for now, every Saturday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and plan to continue it all the way through the college football season. Now, there may be a change in the day, depending on, schedules and time like that. We may move this show to Sunday nights, or maybe even Friday nights. We don't know that yet. We will figure that out as we go along. But as it stands right now, before the season begins, Saturdays, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be here. Be ready to talk about some football and other sports, because this is the VOLSTAR podcast. What a name! I was surprised when I looked up the name for the VOLSTAR podcast, or just VOLSTAR in general. And, you had your, couple of YouTubers with 3 subscribers on there when I searched this up. But other than that, there's nowhere else you can find a name like this. So I'm really I'm really glad that I was the one to take this idea, and we're going to make something out of it, is the plan here.
Yeah, I think we're going to make something out of this. It's an incredible name, honestly. I'm surprised no one's ever used it.
Yeah, I'm baffled. I was really I was pretty flabbergasted, to say so myself. Razorbacks Rules says, can't wait for Arkansas football WPS. Now, if you're an Arkansas fan, of course you know what that means, but we aren't. So that's what there is to it. But yeah, really pumped to get this thing started. So let's waste no more time and get into some of the topics for today. So to start out with, I feel like I've answered this question already, but what is this show about? This is the first episode, so I feel like it's important to run through and talk about, what we're going to be doing on here. Well, of course, no shocker here, we're going to be talking about Tennessee sports, Tennessee football specifically, but we'll also be, throwing in a bit of basketball and baseball and other sports in there as well. We're going to be doing the whole entire thing. And as a insider, or I guess not really an insider, but more of just a student at the University of Tennessee, I feel like it is my 100% obligation to do this show every single week and talk about what's going on in the Tennessee program. So we'll see how it goes. If there's anything I know, you guys are sure to know, unless there's somebody from there comes up to me and says, hey, no, you can't talk about that. But I until that's the case, it is not the case. So yeah, really pumped to do this show every single week. And yeah, like I said, we're going to be doing this show every week. And as it stands, every single Saturday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll just come on here for a little while, talk about some of the stuff going on. And, well, yeah, specifically if we're going to be talking about college football, since at this point in time, we are 35 days away from college football.
28 days till Tennessee football.
That's
specifically.
Right. And we've been waiting a long time, of course, but a few months, and these few months have just completely flown by. It feels like yesterday we were sitting there groveling about the fact that Georgia just won their second national championship in the last 2 years. But this, it's flown by incredibly fast, and now here we are, only a month away from kickoff, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, this year's gone by fast. It's already almost August. It feels like yesterday it was January.
That's right. I am definitely looking forward to it. In other big news, of course, I got my monetization in today for Squidtard Sports, so hopefully starting next week, we will be monetized on here, and you guys will be able to support the channel through Super Chats if you ever choose to do so. So, yeah. A lot of big things coming for this channel. I've got a lot more predictions coming on the way about all the other sports teams. And, of course, Tennessee football predictions. We're going to be doing those as well. But not at the moment yet. We still have to run through some of these other things here, which is, of course, talking about some of this other stuff in the offseason. So, as for latest Tennessee news, well, nothing much as of recently. The only thing we can talk about is one of the big things regarding former head coach of the University of Tennessee football, Jeremy Pruitt, has recently, the news came out last week. Jeremy Pruitt he's now got a new job as a PE teacher, and I believe it's Huntsville, Alabama, one of the schools in there.
Yeah, but it's somewhere in Alabama, obviously. I don't know what school it is, but
or Plainsville.
Man, yeah, it's actually kind of sad to see how he was like in one of the top defensive coordinators in college football to being a PE coach. How do you go that low, man?
Right, and before that, Jeremy Pruitt was like, looking at what he's having to deal with now, it's just a good thing he doesn't have a Twitter account or doesn't check it often. And I have to get used to now calling Twitter X for whatever reason. Not sure why they changed the name of it, but we're not here to talk about that.
Yeah, you can blame Milan Iusk for that.
Yeah, you really can't make me understand why that's the case. But yeah, anyway, Jeremy Pruitt, I don't get why Tennessee fans are they're of course clowning on Jeremy Pruitt considering what he did to Tennessee, cheating and then still, going 3-7. It was a bad look for the university.
Yeah, the whole McDonald's bags things, getting a bunch of 5-star, 4-star recruits and still sucking somehow. I don't know how that's possible. Man, but it's just embarrassing. How do you recruit so many good players and then just like go 3-7 the next year after? That's absolutely embarrassing. And I'm pretty sure if Jeremy Pruitt gets hired, don't he have to like go to court or something?
I think he got one of the punishments, and of course most of you guys know about the punishments already. Of course, one of those is a 6-year show cause for Jeremy Pruitt. So I think, regardless, and especially if he is a coach, he's going to have to appear in court for a little while. And it makes sense, too, considering what happened.
I still feel like it's kind of stupid that the NCAA punished Tennessee. I mean, I can understand that they punished us in a way, but how do you punish like the coaches and players who literally had nothing to do with the scandal?
No clue. I mean, a bunch of Tennessee fans are, I guess, not. Of course, nobody's happy about it if you're a Tennessee fan. Not even rival fan bases are happy about it because they were, they were praying for our downfall, praying for the bowl ban, and they didn't get to witness it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was happy about. I knew that the punishment was coming, but I'm just relieved that it wasn't a bowl ban.
Yeah.
Because...
Well, it would have been a postseason ban, so to put in a picture how detrimental that would have been, postseason ban, of course, just doesn't mean like the bowl game that you go to. It also means the SEC championship game and everything after that. So, say in some wild scenario, Tennessee finds themselves 11-1 or 12-0 and wins by paper wins the East over Georgia. If they got a postseason ban, they wouldn't be able to show up for it. They just have to once they beat Vanderbilt, the season's over. And that would suck. And a lot of people were rooting for that because either A, they believe that this year Tennessee has a very big chance to win the East or make the playoffs, and they absolutely hate that, or B, they just hate Tennessee in general and just pray for any part of a downfall.
I feel like it's probably B. Oh, I absolutely hit my laptop.
But yeah,
I feel like it's a good shot. It's B.
Yeah, Anthony Z says, yeah, how's Pruitt going to cheat and not do anything with it? Well, yeah. Tennessee, the possibilities are endless for how that's going to play out for you. So that's exactly what happened to him. Yeah, right now, if I'm correct, yeah, he is the PE teacher at Plainville High School, and we'll see how it goes. Of course,
and I'm pretty sure his dad's the head coach of the team there still.
That's great. That's adorable. Well, of course, we're not rooting for his downfall. Nobody here is rooting for that, but
but yeah, luck. I'll say one thing about this. Jeremy Pruitt, I think he was just trying to do what he's been doing at Alabama for years. He was trying to do what Alabama's been doing, but he just couldn't, at least when Alabama was cheating, they at least could hide it. They knew how to do it secretly. Jeremy Pruitt, he couldn't do it for some weird reason.
Yeah, that's one of the things I don't understand is that, you have Georgia and Alabama fans specifically that, point out this whole Jeremy Pruitt fiasco and, talk about how as soon as he got there, he was a big old cheater and all this, and just Jeremy Pruitt he's a known cheating scumbag. And my whole ideology on that is if he was that way as soon as he got to Tennessee, I don't know, is it just in their heads that when he was at Georgia and Alabama, he was just like a pretty little princess, Cinderella, a good boy, did nothing wrong ever, never even paid a dime for a recruit. But as soon as he rolls into Tennessee, he's like, now I'm evil. I don't understand the whole process behind that. I need somebody to, talk about that to me and explain to me how you go from, being completely clean and then just immediately turning into that.
All right. Yeah. It just makes no sense.
So, yeah. I've got no clue how that's going to play out for the... I'm sure rival fan bases are really, really pissed off about it because they're like, well, it should have been a bowl ban because look at all the infractions that they committed. But this does really kind of show one thing, and that's the NCAA is the organization itself is very, very bad.
Yeah,
they do not know what they're doing.
The NCAA is a joke.
What's crazy about it is, it feels like with all these new changes coming up that the NCAA is trying to put in one last gasp and try and show everybody that, just because the landscape's changing doesn't mean we're going away. We saw what happened to LSU about a month ago where they, looked into their program and then took away a bunch of, vacated a bunch of their wins back in 15 and 16. And then they did the same thing to Tennessee. And now we're seeing it with Michigan, Jim Harbaugh being suspended for the first 4 games of the season. Now, then again, if you look at Michigan's schedule for those first 4 games, a wet paper bag could be the head coach and they'd still win by 40 against everybody they play. but it's still so dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So we'll see how it goes. I'm sure the NCAA isn't done. They're talking about, looking into investigating some of these other SEC programs like Georgia and Alabama and Florida and all this. And it's like, do your worst. Like, at this point, what's the point? Like, what are y'all gonna do? If you haven't looked into it, if you haven't looked into this stuff from years ago, what makes you think you're gonna, find anything new now? I don't get it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I feel like the only thing the NCAA can find at Georgia is all these players breaking the speed limit.
Oof. We'll get into that later. Now's not the time for that, but I do hear you on that. Somebody's about to dislike the video. But anyway, let's go ahead and roll into the next topic. So, Tennessee recruiting. Let's dive into that for a bit. So, the Vols in recruiting have been exponentially well following, some of these newest commits. Of course, going into 2023, Tennessee has the 11th overall recruiting class for the 2023 class, and they've got quite a few elite players coming in. Of course, Nico Iamaleava, I think is how you pronounce that.
I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Iamaleava, like Iamaleava.
I'm gonna forget. I already forgot that. But the point is, he's an elite quarterback. He's a top prospect. And he's coming to play for Tennessee starting this year. Very excited to see the potential that he can bring onto the field. He'll likely get some playing time against some of these lower tier schools. We'll see how it goes.
I would think that he's going to get playing time against Virginia.
That would be the consensus, yeah. I would think so as well. We should probably see some playing time against Virginia because by halftime, Tennessee's going to be up by like 28 points. And
yeah, because Virginia is going to be like the worst team in the ACC.
Oh yeah. So when we get to the schedule preview, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, Tennessee's recruiting class: David Hobbs, 4-star defensive lineman; Cameron Seldon, 4-star wide receiver; Nathan Leacock recently committed to Tennessee, another 4-star wide receiver. And these are like tall receivers. Each one of them is at least 6 feet or above. So we need some of those tall wide receivers that can catch some of these, like slant routes and stuff like that. And definitely players who can run with the Tennessee offense under Josh Heupel, because of course Tennessee's always going to be known to throw deep. They're going to be known to take chances. And with guys as tall as Cameron Seldon and Nathan Leacock, it's gonna they're not gonna have any problem catching the ball. That's for sure.
Yeah, I believe receiver rooms over the next few years, it's going to be fine. You have Laycock, you have Caleb Webb. You also bring in Mike Matthews for next year's class. Our wide receiver room is set. I also believe our running back room is set. You have Jabari Small, Jalen Wright. You also got Dylan Sampson, Cameron Seldon, who I think showed out in the Orange Bowl. I mean, not the Orange Bowl, but the orange and white game in the spring game. He showed off his tremendous speed. I think running back room is also set. I think wide receivers and running backs is going to be set for quite a few years.
Oh, absolutely. We've got a really good class. To put this into perspective, I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. I got to share the screen for Lucas here as well. Yeah. But yeah, no, take a look at this recruiting class and take a look at some of the talent that we've got. And this is just for 2023 to put this into perspective. So of course, Nico at the top. We got a whole bunch of 4-stars coming in. I'm excited for this guy right here, Caleb Herring, 4-star edge. We needed a guy like that for the longest time, and I think he's going to make an impact immediately on the field.
Well, you also have his older brother, Elijah Herring.
Mm-hmm. Arian Carter's another one. Tennessee has recruited some beastly level talent on the defensive line, and Tennessee, even last year, Tennessee was really strong on the defensive line. They only allowed, I think, 100 yards average per rushing per game. They've been able to shut down the run, and with guys like this, we should have no trouble doing any of that.
Yeah. Yeah, rush defense. Actually, our rush defense first 2 years is always it's been like top 25 both years. What's really been the problem with our defense over the last few years is, of course, our pass defense, mainly our secondary, and also trying to get to the quarterback. We need some guys who can get in there and try to get to the quarterback, and we need some DBs that have SEC level speed to keep up with these SEC level receivers. So. Yeah, I do think our defense is improving year after year. Year one, of course, our defense was terrible. Year two, our defense was still bad. I think it was better than it was year one, though. And year three, I think our defense is going to be better than last year's. We return a bunch of talent on the defensive side of the ball.
Right.
And, of course, we bring in some freshman DBs who I think have potential to be really, really good. So, yeah, I'm excited to see where this defense is headed.
Yeah, depth was a significant problem these last 2 years for Tennessee for obvious reasons, but now with classes like these, we should see a lot more from the defense, specifically the secondary. So looking forward to that. We get into the 2024 class. This is for the next year. We won't see any of these guys until the 2024 season, but it's still awesome to see these guys. Our overall rank on 247 is 9, and honestly it should be higher because we've got some significant talent coming in. Of course, the big man who just so recently recently announced his commitment to Tennessee, Mike Matthews, 5-star wide receiver, probably one of the best wide receivers in the 2024 class. A lot of people thought that he was heading to Georgia or somewhere else. Or like USC, because he was at one point crystal balled for, I think, USC, switched to Tennessee for the crystal ball, and then he committed last week. And watching the meltdown from other fan bases has been hilarious because they went from talking about how this guy is one of the most elite wide receivers of the class to instantly saying, "Oh, he's overrated. He ain't no good."
Yeah.
And of course, we got some other guys coming in. Braylon Stanley, 4-star wide receiver. Caleb Beasley, 4-star corner. I think he's going to make an impact immediately on the field. Some of these guys, of course, are going to do just that. Jake Merklinger, so we've got our quarterback for the 2024 class. Max Anderson, Peyton Lewis, Jonathan Eccles, 4-star tight end. We need another tight end because I think ours is I think ours is done after this season. So definitely glad to have him. Boo Carter, heard a lot about him as well. He was crystal balled for Michigan at one point, but he switched and went to Tennessee. Heard a lot of great things about this guy.
Yeah.
And he, of course, we need a safety like that. We got 2 safeties coming in. So yeah, a lot of great talent coming in for Tennessee this season.
Yeah, man, you'll love to see it, especially all the defensive players, especially the secondary, which we need depth badly, and it's great to see. I love it.
No kidding, definitely, and it's one of those things, man. The depth was the biggest issue, and whether or not we win anything big this season, one thing is for sure that we will be covered in the future. And that's one of the biggest things that I was, concerned about is how would Josh Heupel be able to recruit along with guys like, because some of these other SEC schools, like I think even when Tennessee's ranked top 10 in recruiting, there are still 2 or 3 SEC schools ahead of them. The gimmies being, Alabama and Georgia, but also you mix in somebody like Texas A&M and Florida in there. It's competition to say the least. So I'm glad that we're recruiting on that high level.
Yeah, but I remember UCF fans telling us that Josh Heupel couldn't recruit. The thing is, though, at Tennessee, Tennessee recruits itself. It's a school that recruits itself. Mm-hmm. Like, how would you not be able to sell this place? It's a beautiful state, beautiful campus, and it's a school with a bunch of football history. And plus, it's an offense that you could score a lot of points in. I don't know who wouldn't want to come into an offense, this kind of offense, and not want to score a bunch of points like that. This is a type of school where, of course, receivers want to play and quarterbacks want to play. And that's kind of why Nico and Mike Matthews want to come here. I know Nico, of course, came for the NIL deal, but I truly believe he actually liked Tennessee. He wants to play in this offense to me. but that might just be my opinion though.
Yeah.
Same with Mike Matthews. I think he really likes this offense, and plus he's going to be paired with Nico. I'm calling it right now. Nico and Mike Matthews, they're going to be the best quarterback wide receiver duo in the future in college football.
It's gonna make that Tennessee Texas matchup in 2025 one of the greatest matchups in all of college football.
Yeah. Especially if they actually land Ryan Wingo, man.
Oh yeah. Well, it's gonna be Nico versus Arch for sure in 2025, unless if one of them hits the transfer portal, which at this point I'm not calling that.
Yeah, I don't think they will. I don't think Nico's going to leave because of the NIL deal, and I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, don't Arch also have an NIL deal?
I think so, yeah. That they are both recruiting really well.
Yeah.
So let's see what's going on in the comment section before we move on here. Anthony says, I've been looking forward to DJ Lagway versus Nico for a couple years. Yeah, like I said, Florida, besides the down years that they've had and the fact that they ain't no good right now, Florida has recruited really well under Billy Napier.
Yeah, they actually have like the number 3 class right now. That's insane.
Yeah. Dibbins says, hook 'em. We're looking forward to seeing you in 2025. I will say that
Hook
for
'em.
sure. We're going to be doing that a lot in the future. But glad you're here.
Yeah, I think Tennessee and Texas will become a rivalry. I think it's only a matter of time.
I would bank on that.
Battle for the real UT, and plus we're both orange.
Yeah, there's a lot going for that rivalry if it ever happens. So yeah, we shall see. We shall definitely see. Looking forward to Arkansas versus Tennessee 2024. Yeah, that might. I would say, is it going to be a good matchup? I don't know. Sam Pittman definitely has to take a step forward this season.
I don't know. I think this is KJ's last season, so I don't know about Arkansas in 2024.
Yeah. I think Sam Pittman is going to have to recruit really well this year. And even if he does, it won't matter too much because most of those guys are going to be freshmen. So.
Yeah, nothing against Sam Pittman, but Arkansas, it's kind of a hard place to kind of win at, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're not really rich at football, to be honest with you. They're more rich at like track and field and basketball. I would say baseball too, but they have 0 national championships.
Yeah. AIP Vols and Pokes says, I'll actually be attending to go to the Tennessee and Florida game in September. All right, so you're heading over to the swamp. Well, protect yourself is all I can say. I have no idea what's going to go on down there.
Protect yourself from the pea balloons.
That too. And for me, make sure you go down there and just go, Billy Napier, just once and see how they react. Florida fans love it when I do that. They do the whole Billy Napier thing. It's so much fun to do.
Yeah.
But so Tennessee recruiting going really well right now, and the job isn't done yet, or at least for the 2024 class, so we'll see how it goes. Now then, let's move on to the main event for today. We got to go ahead and take a look at this Tennessee football schedule. So I have not done my Tennessee football predictions yet. I've saved them for somewhere near the end as compared to where I started at the very beginning last year. I wanted to save them towards the end so that way we could take a look at this and preview what it may look like for Tennessee going into 2023. The consensus by a lot of people is that Tennessee is getting ready to have another 10-win season. And if you look at this schedule, you'll see exactly why people think that, because it's pretty favorable. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say it's favorable. I would honestly, you could argue that it's easier than last year's schedule.
Yeah, that I wouldn't really. I wouldn't really disagree with that. Now, of course, we still have to play some of the whole juggernaut programs, and that blows. But
yeah, we still have to play Bama, Georgia. We have to play A&M, even though A&M sucked last year. I think they'll be better this year, because they have a lot of talent. Kentucky, honestly, even though we own Kentucky, that game kind of still worries me because it's on the road, and of course, Kentucky, I honestly think will be better this year because they bring in a new offensive coordinator. They bring in Devin Leary, who I think's better than Will Levis. So, yeah. So.
Right. Well, I guess there's nowhere else to start from the very beginning. September 2nd, 1 o'clock p.m. on, I believe, ABC, just like the Pittsburgh game. Virginia versus Tennessee taking place in Nashville, of all places. Got to go to Nissan Stadium. So Tennessee at least has the state advantage, but
yeah,
I've made my feelings very apparent about Nashville Stadium. When I went there for the Music City Bowl, it was a complete joke. The end zones weren't even painted all the way. You could still see the painting from the Titans logo on there. They just did a horrible job with that. And I'm hoping that gets redeemed when Virginia comes to town, but I'm doubting against it. Either way, Tennessee, I think, should be the heavy favorite, and they are the heavy favorite in this matchup. I think as the line stands right now, Tennessee is favored by 28, if I'm correct on that. So, Lucas, what do you think? Tennessee going to cover that?
Yeah, I would say Tennessee's obviously going to win, but if I had to pick it against the spread, I'll say Tennessee covers it. But, yeah, Nissan Stadium, though, it as a Titans fan, it hates for me to say, but it's an awful stadium. Thankfully, the Titans are getting a new stadium, though. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, they need it. They absolutely, they absolutely need it. So, real quick before we move on to the next game, I will say, looking at Virginia's roster, they are getting a whole bunch of transfers through the portal, including this guy Tony Muskett, who will probably end up being their starting quarterback. He transferred from this place named Monmouth, so that should tell you everything you need to know about.
Oh, that's like some FCS school.
Yeah, so it tells you kind of how down in the dumps they are right now. Virginia is probably at this point in time, it's safe to say that Virginia is probably the worst overall team in the ACC going into 2023. And, you're looking at the true ACC champions in the Tennessee Volunteers, the ones that, beat Clemson, the ACC champions, in the Orange Bowl. So, safe to say Tennessee handles business here, and I will go ahead and give one of my own predictions here. I will say Tennessee covers the spread at half. I think Tennessee comes out and dominates Virginia. I think they just, manhandle them, score a bunch of points on offense. And more importantly, I think the defense steps up here and gets some big plays in there, maybe an interception or two, a fumble, one of those plays. I think they get at least 2 turnovers in this game, and they absolutely dominate Virginia. And I think we'll see exactly that. Really, covering the spread in this game, for people who think, they cover the spread or they won't, it all just depends on how you feel about Joe Milton being the starting quarterback at Tennessee, because of course a lot of controversy with him. So
yeah,
we'll see how that goes.
Michigan fans still talking about him to this day.
Oh yeah. Well, one thing it shows is that according to some people, it's impossible for a player to improve. It's literally impossible. Like, why even try? They're always going to be the same. They'll never improve, especially if it's, under a new type of offense. I don't get it. There's no...
Yeah, here's the thing, though. Everybody knows who Derrick Henry is now. He's like the best running back in the NFL. But when he started, he wasn't even close to that. Like, the first few seasons, he actually didn't... I mean, he looked okay, but he didn't look as good as he did. He definitely wasn't near the top. But now, look at him. He kept progressing every single season, and now he's the best running back in the NFL. Same with Josh Allen, man, in the NFL. I know, I hate to bring up NFL because I know this is a college football thing, but Josh Allen, he absolutely looked terrible his first few seasons. But now look at him. People consider him as the second best quarterback in the NFL behind Patrick Mahomes.
Right, and what about Tom Brady? If we're going to go to Michigan, we might as well talk about, what imbues most people as the greatest quarterback to ever touch the NFL. And he was a 7th round pick in the NFL draft. 7th round pick. not many people viewed him too highly back then, and I'm sure they said the same thing back then that Michigan fans and other fan bases are saying now about Joe Milton, is that, he's not very good. He'll never improve. Just look at his performance in college. Look how he did here. Look how he did over here. And then, follow a few years after that, it just everything changed. So, I mean, some people say that this is Joe Milton's last chance to prove that he is, a good quarterback. And I would absolutely agree with that. But I already think he is a good quarterback. And we'll see a lot of that heading into the early points of this season. So let's move on to the next game here. So after Virginia, Tennessee hosting a very easy game here, 5:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's a very weird time for a game, but Austin Peay is coming to Knoxville for Tennessee's home opener. And, I have no doubt in my mind that Tennessee should handle the Austin Peays. What's your say?
Yeah, this game will be over by the first quarter.
Right.
They could literally put me in as a receiver and they'd still win.
Right. It'll be what's always fun about these is that, usually they're played at noon and they're out of the way, so that way you're able to just kind of, take a deep breath and then go watch the other games. And even with this here, I hate that it's being played at this, weird time. Usually it's 4:00, but I digress. I'm not the one who's making the times here. So either way, Tennessee should absolutely handle business against the Austin Peays without problem. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. And it's a good warm-up game, too, because their next game just so happens to be one of the biggest ones of the season. Tennessee traveling out on the road, going into the swamp to play the Florida Gators. Oh, man. Well. Tennessee, as it stands right now, is a 7.5-point favorite over Florida for obvious reasons. Tennessee coming off an 11-win season, returning most of their offensive talent. And Florida just coming off of one of their worst seasons that they've had in a long time, 6-7 year under Billy Napier. And, things don't seem to be progressing much better. They are recruiting very well, I will say that, but those recruits aren't going to instantly show up on the field. It's going to take some time, so... Looking at this game, the truth, I mean, I guess, there's a lot of Tennessee fans that are saying that Tennessee is going to blow Florida out of the water, and there's a lot that are saying that, this is a game to be afraid of. And you can take it both ways. Tennessee has not beaten Florida in the swamp since 2003. 2 decades ago was the last time Tennessee beat Florida in the swamp. So now it's going to be interesting. Tennessee going in as a heavy favorite against this Florida team. You already know Florida's going to show up. There's no problem with that. They won't have an issue with getting motivated for this game. We know that for a fact. So, what's your say, Lucas? You think Tennessee will struggle in this?
I do think Tennessee will struggle in this one a bit. Probably mainly because it's Florida. We always mainly struggle against Florida. Florida somehow is our kryptonite, literally. In my lifetime, Tennessee has never beaten Florida in the swamp. Tennessee's only beaten Florida 3 times in my lifetime, and that is sad. I'm 19 years old. I'm a grown man.
Yep.
And but yeah, I think Florida, they will fight. But I do think at halftime this game will be close. But then I think in the second half, I think Tennessee will turn on the juice and absolutely blow Florida out. Tennessee wins.
All right. Well, yeah. To me, this is all dependent on the fact that if you look, I mean, of course, it's a superstition thing with Florida. If you go into the game too confident, Florida ends up winning it, and then Tennessee fans are like, how do we lose to Florida? It's been the story for as long as I can remember. But look at the rosters. Come on. I mean, even if you don't think too highly of Joe Milton, look who he's going up against. Graham Mertz.
Yeah, Graham Mertz.
Yeah. And Wisconsin fans and everybody in the Big Ten will tell you that Graham Mertz was no good at all over at Florida or over at Wisconsin. So now he's over at Florida. It's going to be interesting. I think Graham Mertz can maybe put up some points against Tennessee. But, in an offensive slug match against Tennessee, there's absolutely no way Florida comes out on top against that. What it's going to take is for Florida to have an elite run game. Unfortunately for them, though, they're going up against one of the best rushing defenses in the SEC. So it's going to take a game where Graham Mertz doesn't look like Graham Mertz and rather looks like, Tim Tebow or something. It's going to take one of those games. And if it would happen against anybody, it would happen against Tennessee. But I'm definitely not saying superstitions are a thing here. So I guess the thought there would be that Tennessee wins that game in the Swamp. Or at least that's what most people say. So after that game against the Swamp, Tennessee, or against Florida, Tennessee comes back home against UTSA, the good old Roadrunners. And this could be an interesting matchup because UTSA, by this point, as it stands right now, the Roadrunners, they aren't ranked, and I don't think they'll be at the start of the season. But if they're 3-0 heading into this game, which is a very significant possibility, this could be a ranked matchup. We could find ourselves watching a ranked UTSA go on the road to play in a Neyland Stadium against what could possibly be a top 10 Tennessee. So this would be a great matchup. And UTSA, they're definitely no slouch. They have an offense capable of scoring a lot of points. So we'll see how it goes. What's your say, Lucas?
I think UTSA, they could. I'm just going to say Tennessee, they definitely should not sleep on UTSA. Like you said, they're definitely not a slouch. They're a very well-coached team. Even though they don't have a lot of talent, they are a very well-coached team. They're going to come in there and they're going to try to fight. They're not going to let us have this game easy. But one thing I will say, this game is at home. Tennessee's definitely the more talented team, and I do think we somewhat are the better coach team. I do think UTSA is going to put up a little bit of a fight, though. I think it's going to be a little bit closer than what people say it's going to be. I think Tennessee will still win, but I think UTSA, they're going to put up a fight.
Yeah, I would agree with that because right now, as it stands, UTSA is still a pretty good team. They've got some offensive pieces. Frank Harris, I like him. I think he's a pretty good quarterback. But I will say UTSA is really going to miss Sakari Franklin. He was their best wide receiver on the team, and he transferred to Ole Miss, which is a huge loss for the Roadrunners. I still think they'll have a good offense. It'll just they're going to have trouble competing with the Vols offense.
Yeah. Tulane, that's going to be an amazing Group of 5 game to watch. UTSA versus Tulane, the two best Group of 5 teams. Just to throw that out there.
No, I can agree with that. This is going to be an interesting game, I think. But we'll see how it goes. The consensus is that UTSA will lose to Tennessee there, and I would have to agree. And then for the big one of the big ones on the schedule, September 30th. A lot of people have been waiting for this one. Specifically, Tennessee fans have been foaming out the mouth for this game, and I can see why. The South Carolina Gamecocks come back into Neyland Stadium. Of course, we know the story last year. 63-38, South Carolina absolutely drugged Tennessee across the field. It was not a good look for us. They knocked us out of a potential playoff bid. They just completely ruined our season, and it was just a very bad look. We've had to hear it from South Carolina fans throughout the entire offseason, and it's been brutal. But now they come all the way to Knoxville to play Tennessee again. And let's not forget that Tennessee did the exact same thing, even by points, to South Carolina. I think, if I'm correct, South Carolina won by 32-something points against Tennessee last year. The year before that, Tennessee did the exact same thing in return and beat them by the exact same margin. So I think we're looking for a revenge game here from Tennessee, and they are going to have their blood pumping coming out for this one. And if it's a night game, you can almost absolutely expect the black jerseys to be out for this one. It's it's basically a Halloween game.
Yeah. But yeah, this is definitely going to be an exciting game. I'm going to try to go to this game if I can, because I want to see us beat the crap out of South Carolina so bad. I think Josh Heupel, he has this game scheduled, marked on his calendar. I think he's going to try to come in and punch South Carolina in the mouth early, and I think he's going to do just that. I think Joe Milton and the Vols, I think they're going to be pissed off, and they're going to get ready to blow this South Carolina team out.
Yeah. Well, it taught the Vols a very important lesson about humility, and being humble. Everybody had to go through it. I'm just glad that we were able to go through it that quickly. And now, hopefully, this team will be ready to play for this South Carolina team. Spencer Rattler, you already know they're going to be hyped up to come in and defend their streak against Tennessee and try and beat us in Neyland Stadium. But I would vote against that, is my personal analysis on it. So
one thing I will say about South Carolina that's weird, it seems like each and every single season with South Carolina so far with Shane Beamer, the first half of the season they suck, but the second half of the season they're good, which is oddly weird.
Yeah, or they're definitely a very inconsistent squad, or they were last season. They absolutely were, because it's pretty hard to get blanked by Florida on offense and then put up 63 on a top 5 team. But there's only one team I know that can figure out how to do that, and it's the one, unfortunately, we lost to last year. So you can definitely expect for Tennessee to be ready and prepared for that one. Now on to the next one. Texas A&M, the Aggies, a team we hardly see playing against us. They are coming to Neyland Stadium. The last time we played Texas A&M dates all the way back to 2020 when they came to Neyland Stadium and beat us. So if you want to go further back, I think it was the matchup in College Station. A really good game.
2016.
That's right. Really good game, but we lost that one. We've had very little success against A&M most recently, but now we'll likely be the favorites going into this game in Knoxville. Texas A&M, while I don't think, they'll be world beaters, I do think they'll be better than they were last year, which isn't saying much. A&M was a just complete disaster last season. It was a very, 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 very bad year for A&M. There's debate whether or not that team was worse than Vanderbilt. Unfortunately, we never got to see them play. However, I do think they'll be a lot better following up into this season. Connor Wayman coming back for another year. He looked pretty good last season. And he's got a new offensive coordinator, Bobby Petrino, coming back to the SEC. So I'm looking forward to seeing him and seeing what they've got going. Texas A&M, I don't think will have too many problems on offense, but we'll see about how that defense performs. Lucas, what's your say?
I will say, I think Texas A&M, they would definitely be a better team this year. I don't know if it's given, though, that Bobby Petrino calls the plays. I don't think it's been announced yet that he's going to call the plays, right?
I haven't heard the news on that, but I'd be willing to vote for it.
If I was an A&M fan, I'd hope that he's calling the plays, because Jimbo for sure don't know what he's doing. But over the last few years, I'm pretty sure A&M actually had a pretty nice defense. I don't know what happened to their defense. But yeah, I think A&M, they're definitely going to be better this year. They have talent, and they almost beat Alabama last year, where they was unranked, and they almost did it the year before. So yeah, A&M, I think they're going to come in. They're going to come in and fight. But the thing is, though, Josh Heupel, so far, he's actually had a winning record, or at least I'm pretty sure he's close to being undefeated in games where he's had like an extra week to prepare for a game, like after a bye week. And this game is it's after a bye week, and plus it's at home. I would give Tennessee the edge, and I think Tennessee is definitely going to win this one. I feel like Tennessee's a better coach team. I think right now, I would say A&M is probably the more talented team, but it's kind of close, I would say. But I just think that since the bye week comes before this game, I think Tennessee wins.
Yeah, that's safe to say. I do think they are the better team on paper. But of course, football games aren't played that way. So, under the possibility that, things don't play out that way, I'm sure we'll figure it out. Some people even think that we'll lose this game as a, like we're underprepared for it and we sleepwalk through it in preparation for the Alabama game. But I don't think that's how that's going to play out. Usually we show up for the games that we're supposed to show up in, say for the LSU game last season right before Alabama. So I don't think it'll be an issue. And speaking of Bama, that's the next game on the schedule here. Tennessee traveling to Tuscaloosa to play the Alabama Crimson Tide. I can't remember the last time Tennessee beat Bama in Tuscaloosa. We have that win over them last season, and this is a lot like reverse psychology for the Tennessee-South Carolina situation. Of course, we're looking for revenge against the Gamecocks, but Alabama is most certainly looking for theirs against Tennessee. Last year, of course, they lost to them on that field goal by Chase McGrath. We all celebrated it. It was a great moment in Vol football history, and we tore the goalpost down. It was basically the end of the misery in terms of Tennessee football. But now Tennessee is traveling to Tuscaloosa. It's going to be a huge environment. Everybody is going to be there waiting for the downfall of Tennessee or the downfall of Alabama, whichever one. The whole country is going to be watching this game if both of them are undefeated by this point in time. So a lot of people are excited for this one. And rightfully so. I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. Lucas, what's your say? You think Tennessee can go on the road and beat Bama?
I mean, I think we can beat Alabama. I don't know if we will, though. Because, listen, I'll say this about Alabama. They have some question marks, especially at quarterback. Who's going to be their starting quarterback? Is it going to be Jalen Milroe, Ty Simpson, or is it going to be that one guy, Tyler Buckner from Notre Dame? I don't know. I haven't watched Alabama's spring game, but I heard in the spring game they all look terrible. But I mean, I haven't watched this, like I said, I haven't watched the spring game, but I heard they all look terrible. And also Alabama, they don't have these big name receivers anymore. They don't have like Devonta Smith. They don't have Jalen Waddle. Where are their big name receivers? Nowhere. Literally nowhere. They don't have those guys anymore. And also, they're losing Jahmyr Gibbs. Defense, they are losing Will Anderson. They are returning Dallas Turner, though, who is, I'll admit, is really good. Dallas Turner is good. I'll give him that.
Mm-hmm.
I do think this game could go either two ways. One, Alabama wins in a close game, or two, Tennessee could possibly win in blowout fashion. Because, call me crazy, I do think Tennessee, somewhat on paper, will be the better team.
Yeah.
But I think Alabama will have that revenge factor, and plus it's on the road in Tuscaloosa. If this game was being played in Knoxville, I'd pick Tennessee. Without a doubt, I'd pick Tennessee. But since it's being played in Tuscaloosa, and like I said, Alabama's got that revenge factor. Nick Saban's probably got that game circled on his calendar like Josh Heupel does with South Carolina. I think Alabama wins, but it's close.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying on that one. And while I do think, this is definitely going to be interesting for a variety of reasons, I don't think it's another game where Tennessee puts up 52 points on Alabama. I think this one will be a lot more defensive heavy. And the reason why is looking at Alabama's roster, I think one player is going to make a huge key for Alabama in this one, and that's, of course, Kool-Aid McKinstry. And he's probably the best player in their backfield. And, of course, the main reason Tennessee beat Bama last season and Bama lost the way they did was because of the routes that Tennessee was running. Jalen Hyatt lived in that backfield like it was real estate. He absolutely just, torched Bama every single play. And while I do think the possibility is there of another wide receiver doing just that, I would doubt against it. Because one of the big problems is just defensive productivity in that game. And in order for Tennessee to win this one on the road, it's going to take what I would think that they would have to trick the defense again. I think they would have to run a few plays that would run the defense, get away from Kool-Aid McKinstry. Because I think he's fast, and they have some fast, players who I think can keep up with our wide receivers. So I think we're going to have to look in our bag of tricks in order to win this game, especially on the road in a very, very hostile Tuscaloosa. So I would be all for it if Tennessee won, of course, but that's definitely going to be a very tough game in Tuscaloosa. Right after that, though, after the Alabama game, Tennessee traveling out again, this time to Lexington to play our hated rivals, the Kentucky Wildcats. It's no secret. Kentucky, as it stands right now, in football, is Tennessee's word I can't say on here, but just know that we own Kentucky in every single way when it comes to football. We beat them 8 out of the last 10, and if you go look at the overall series, it's very obvious. Tennessee just outright, fries Kentucky in every single way, which shape and form. But as we head into this new season, Kentucky making some changes, of course, mainly at the quarterback position. Will Levis going on to the NFL, and they bring in transfer from NC State, Devin Leary, who I do think is a pretty good quarterback. I don't think he's a slouch. I don't think he's anybody that you should, look ahead from. But, this is Kentucky we're talking about. So, while I do think they may put up a fight against Tennessee, can we really see them beating Tennessee? Lucas, what do you think?
I mean, I think if Tennessee beat Alabama, I could possibly see this as a trap game, honestly. Considering, it's on the road. Call me crazy. I could honestly see this potential being a trap game. But like you said, Tennessee, they own Kentucky. We're not used to losing to Kentucky. And I do think Kentucky, they are going to be better this year. Of course, they bring in Devin Leary. They also have that one receiver that I like, Dane Key. I think he's going to be one of the better receivers in the SEC this year, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. I do think their defense is going to be a little bit better. But I would still give the Vols the edge on this one. But I think Kentucky, they'll put up a fight. They'll definitely put up a better fight than they did last season, I would believe so. But I still think Tennessee wins this game.
Right. I would have to agree with that. I mean, it would take Tennessee going in there, slouching in there, and like you said, a hangover from Alabama, whether they wound up winning or losing that game. I still think Tennessee would go in as heavy favorites against Kentucky. This one's interesting. It would be a lot more interesting in basketball, but that's not the case. UConn heading back to Knoxville. I don't know if these two teams have ever played in football, but yep, UConn, the football team, is heading to Neyland Stadium to play Tennessee. Obviously, Tennessee is going to be coming into this game as heavy favorites, but it would not surprise me if the Big 12 administrators had their eyes on this game, because for some odd reason, people are talking about UConn possibly heading to the Big 12. There are like a trillion other options who I think are better for that position, but Colorado just made it to the Big 12, so I guess anybody can. Either way, though, Lucas, we're both thinking that Tennessee's going to win this game, right?
Yeah, Tennessee, they're going to win this game. And, of course, I would think the reason that the Big 12s, I think, would probably try to bring in UConn is not just because football, but, I mean, let's be honest. UConn's a basketball school, and the Big 12, they're like a really powerful basketball conference. And with them bringing in UConn, they will be even more powerful. And also their women's basketball team, it would of course bring more another powerful team to their, I would consider, pretty solid women's basketball side of the conference. But I do think UConn is getting better a little bit football wise. They did make a bowl game last year. Congratulations to them. Here's a sticker. But Tennessee's absolutely going to derail them. But yeah, I agree. I think there's better fits in the Big 12 than UConn. Honestly, I would go Utah, to be honest with you, because you already have BYU in the Big 12. You get the Utah-BYU, the Holy War rivalry in the Big 12. And also Utah has a rivalry with Colorado. And also Utah and TCU used to be part of the Mountain West. They used to be those BCS busters back in the Mountain West. So, yeah, if I was the Big 12, I would go get Utah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Nonetheless, though, Tennessee handles business against UConn, or at least they should. That would be the consensus thing to say. All right, the next one here. Before the big one that we're going to talk about in a little while, Tennessee on the road against Mizzou, the Missouri Tigers. So, no secret here, Tennessee has dominated Missouri these last 2 years. We put up a 60 bomber on them 2 years in a row now. I think it was the exact same score, too. 63 to 24, something like that.
I don't know if it was the same, but it was close to it.
Very close, yeah. But yeah, no, Tennessee just diced up Missouri's defense twice now, and they've absolutely had no answers for it. So this is where people say this is where Tennessee's trap game is, and while I can't agree with that considering what's ahead. You really have to kind of take a look at what Tennessee's done to Missouri these last 2 years. Now they are bringing in some transfers who I think can make some plays on the offense. Ooh, looks like the second wave of storms is here. Anyway, Brady Cook coming in for his junior year as the quarterback for Mizzou. I think he'll make some impacts. Theo Wees Jr., one of the transfers heading into his senior year, came in from Oklahoma. I think he can make an impact this season. The reason people forget this for some reason, but before the fourth quarter where Tennessee and Joe Milton and, they put up like 30-something points on Mizzou, it was actually a pretty close game until like the third quarter, about 5 minutes left until the third quarter. So had Tennessee not gotten that momentum push from that Jalen Hyatt catch, what are the odds that Mizzou could have gotten momentum of their own and then maybe even beat Tennessee and Neyland? But we're not talking about that now. We're talking about a completely different scenario here. So Tennessee should go in as the favorites here. Lucas, you think this is a trap game for Tennessee?
I would say this is a trap game, just because it's like, of course, like right before the Georgia game, and. Although, I do think Mizzou will be a little bit of a better team this year. The thing is, though, it's kind of hard for me to pick Mizzou in this game because of the last 2 years. Eli Drinkwitz still has not been able to stop Tennessee's offense. He has not found a way to stop this offense, and part of me just thinks that I don't think he could stop it right now. And also Missouri, they don't have a good home field advantage in the SEC. They don't have one of the best home field advantages in the SEC. Like Missouri, honestly doesn't worry me. I mean, if they were a better team, obviously they would worry me. But the thing is, though, I mean, if you're a solid, at least an okay team, and you're good enough to upset somebody in your own home stadium, and you actually had a home crowd, then yeah, I'd be worried. But Missouri, they don't have a good home crowd. They just don't. They're not good for bringing in good crowds. So I think Tennessee wins this one. I do think it'll be a little bit closer than it was the previous 2 years, but I think Tennessee still wins by like 20 plus.
Yeah. I hope it's a noon kickoff because for some reason with Mizzou, like the other Tigers, the LSU Tigers specifically, their fans don't show up at noon for whatever reason. So do us a favor and schedule that game at noon, whoever is responsible for that. But yeah, that's the Mizzou game for you. And now for the big one. One of the other big ones, probably the biggest one of the year. Probably what will be a one-loss or undefeated Georgia Bulldogs coming to Knoxville to play the Tennessee Vols. Now, last year it was a strange circumstance watching Tennessee be number one, and Georgia unfortunately ripped that away within 4 days of us being number one, and the rest is history. That team went on to go win the national championship, so it's obvious that right now Georgia is the top dogs in the sport, and unfortunately we share the division in them. This game will likely be for the SEC East. If Tennessee is coming in with one loss and Georgia's coming in undefeated or with one loss of their own, this game will absolutely, it's going to be packed. Game day was probably going to be there. It's going to be insane. And you already know the crowd is going to be there as well. It's just going to be a fantastic environment to be at. But, there's a lot of uncertainty with how this is going to go. Georgia, of course, losing Stetson Bennett to the NFL. They're bringing in Carson Beck, who, while I don't think he's a Stetson Bennett, he's still got some merit of his own. And, of course, Georgia is going to have an elite defense. They've got 5 stars subbing in for 5 stars. Georgia has no issues with talent. They're going to have a very elite defense. So this will absolutely be the biggest test for Tennessee's offense. And if Joe Milton's still the quarterback by this time, which I absolutely think he will, it's going to be interesting to see how he responds to the adversity Georgia will definitely bring. So, Lucas, what do you think? Is there any chance that Tennessee wins this game?
I do think there is a chance that Tennessee wins this game. But for Tennessee to win this game, it comes down to the offensive line. The offensive line needs to protect Milton and give him some time. Because last year, Hendon Hooker, when he was throwing, he didn't really have any time. Receivers were getting open. I could see it. But Hendon Hooker, he couldn't get any time. Because our offensive line was getting absolutely outdogged by Georgia's defensive line. And, of course, that's not really a surprise. Of course, Georgia's defensive line is very, very talented.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think Tennessee, they need to play better on the offensive line this year. And one thing I will say, when Ohio State played Georgia, one thing that really why Ohio State was able to move the ball on Georgia so well last season is because Ohio State was giving C.J. Stroud time. They was giving him some time, and also it was just those play action passes like over the middle that was just killing Georgia. Georgia, they literally couldn't stop it for their lives in that game. And I do think that for Tennessee to win this game, it comes down to the offensive line. They got to give Milton time, and when Milton sees a receiver wide open, he's got to put it on the money. He cannot overthrow him. He's got to put it on the money because Georgia, they ain't going to give you that many chances. They're not.
Right.
So yeah, I think it just comes down to the offensive line.
One thing is for certain though, and this is something I've talked about plenty of times with Georgia in most recently this offseason. Georgia has a tendency to sleepwalk through games they're not supposed to, say for the Missouri game last season and the South Carolina game dating back in 2019. But these Kirby Smart Georgia teams, whatever he does, whether it's the whole talk about how Georgia's going, they think we're going 7-5, can you believe it? And all that, whatever he does in the locker room, it works because Georgia has always shown up for the big games. And they will have no issue doing so here. They will be ready and prepared just like last year when we played them. And if Tennessee beats Georgia this year, it's not going to be because the weather or the home field or, that Stetson Bennett wasn't playing or that, like Uncle Lou wasn't on the field or whatever excuse they want to come up with. If Tennessee wins this game, it's going to be because they were the better team. That's all there is to it. If Tennessee wins this game, that's all that's going to be. And Georgia at this point, unless if Ole Miss is undefeated for some reason, this will probably be the most adversity they will have faced throughout the entire 2023 season. In my mind, I think this will be the biggest challenge for Georgia all the way up until if they make the playoffs or some point like that. So expect for both teams to show up in this game and expect for this to be the matchup of the ages. You got people saying that this game will, more people are going to watch this game than even Michigan and Ohio State, which that would be shocking. Everybody's always looking forward to that one. And if I had to guess, Ohio State and Michigan are both going to be undefeated or with one loss heading into that one.
Yeah.
Or in my case, more than that, because that should give you a sneak peek at what the predictions are for either one of those teams. I already released my Michigan predictions, and I have them going 12-0. I'll release the Ohio State ones a little while down the road, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, though, the consensus here is that Tennessee, right now, they're sitting there at 7.5-point underdogs, and if Tennessee wins, they'll just be the better team. That's all there is to it. And I guess we could just get through this one really quick. Nothing really to talk about here. If Tennessee's in the hunt for the college football playoffs at this point, and especially if they beat Georgia, we can just go ahead and we don't even have to wake up. If this is a noon game, and if you're a night owl like me, you can just sleep through and then watch this, and then watch the highlights after the game. There's no point even being concerned about Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, though, I do think Vanderbilt, I do think they are a team that is on the incline. Clark Lee is actually doing things there. He's recruiting well for Vanderbilt standards. He had 2 wins last year in the SEC, but he had two SEC wins in a row heading up to the Tennessee game. You had people saying that Vanderbilt was going to upset Tennessee and stuff like that, and then the Vols go in and put up 56 on him and let him put up 0 points. So, not that last year has much merit to what will happen this year. For all we know, Vanderbilt could give Tennessee a challenge like Missouri did for a quarter or two. But honestly, Tennessee should handle business here and get the job done. Lucas, you agree?
Yeah, I think Tennessee will handle business here and get the job done. I do think Vandy is getting better, though. I will say that. They're definitely not on Tennessee's level, though. I'm not mentioning that. But I do think Vandy is slowly somewhat getting better. I think they could make a bowl game this year, honestly, to be honest with you. But for Vandy to make a bowl game, of course, they would have to at least go 3-1 in their non-con, because they play 3 terrible teams in the non-con, and they play Wake Forest. For some reason, people think they can beat Wake Forest. I mean, Wake Forest is losing Sam Hartman. I still don't know if they can beat Wake Forest.
I believe
though.
they can. It really wouldn't surprise me if they did. Vandy is improving, and Wake Forest is on the decline. If they're, even if we lowball Wake Forest or Vanderbilt, I still think it's going to be a pretty close game. So we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong about that, and maybe I'm just drinking some of that Vanderbilt Kool-Aid because Jared keeps telling me that Vandy's floor for the season is 6-6.
Yeah.
Which.
No, that's Vanderbilt's ceiling, bro.
Yeah, that's if Vanderbilt going 6-6. That's what they call throwing a parade. Ain't nobody believes that Vanderbilt's floor is 6-6. Come on.
Yeah. But yeah, honestly, it would shock me, but then it wouldn't shock me if Vandy made a bowl game this season. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, they already beat Kentucky and Florida last year. They do that again and then beat somebody like Missouri or somebody like that, or Wake Forest, like I mentioned earlier. Then, there it is. They also play Auburn, which, Auburn at home. It just depends on what you think about Hugh Freeze. So, yeah.
I think Hugh Freeze. I think he'll have Auburn rolling by year 3, especially. He literally had 2 5-stars flip to Auburn back-to-back days. He had some 5-star flip from Florida State to Auburn today.
Is that right?
Yeah. So yeah, I think Auburn, Hugh Freeze is definitely going to have that program rolling by year 3, I believe.
Yeah, I could believe that. But yeah, that's the Tennessee schedule, or that's what we have to look forward to for the 2023 season. Now the consensus, and most people say this. You have, of course, you have the morons that say Tennessee's, going 7-5, 6-6, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the consensus is that Tennessee is going to have a 10-2 season, either with an upset over Alabama or Georgia, or without. People think that Tennessee is getting ready to have another 10-2 season, be short of the playoffs, and have another New Year's Six bowl year. That seems like a reasonable take to me. I'm not going to say that, Tennessee's, going to the playoffs and we're going 15-0 now and all that. We all know that's it's possible, but I'm not going to be parading that around.
Yeah. I'd love to make the playoffs this year, to be honest with you, especially, because Tennessee, when the playoffs expands to 12-team next year, Tennessee, they're going to be in the 12-team playoffs. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But if we don't make the 14 playoffs this year and then we make it next year in the 12-team one, all the Georgia fans are going to be laughing at us, be like, oh, playoffs had to expand for 12 teams for you to get in.
Here's what I say to those guys, and this goes for Georgia fans. This is all I'll say about it, at least for today. Georgia fans, just, admire these Georgia fans. Most of these guys, and I do mean this, there are Georgia fans out there who have been here for the longest time, and I have respect for those. You have all of the merit and the right to talk because you guys have been here through the ups and the downs. If you guys have been on this channel for the longest time, then by all means, I have no issues with that. But then you have, and this, of course, I've been getting comments left and right from these people that I don't even know showing up talking about, remember when Tennessee lost to Georgia? I do. Remember back-to-back national championship? Here's what I have to say to that. And, of course, whichever website you're on, Lucas, even if it's here on YouTube, one thing is for certain, you have to just lay back and admire them and enjoy them while they're there. Because the moment Georgia loses a game, or the moment Georgia's out of the playoffs, or they lose to somebody like us, that's the last time you'll ever hear. They will be gone. Like, it'll be like somebody snapped their fingers and they just faded away for the entirety of existence. Their accounts will be deleted. Any trace of them online will be wiped. You won't even know that they were there to begin with. They will be gone. Gone, gone. So admire from a distance, or, let them know that you love and care for them, because the moment Georgia loses, you'll never see him again. They won't be around for it.
You best believe if Tennessee upsets Georgia this year, Neil, they will never hear the end of it from me. They will never hear the end of it from me.
That's the thing, is that whenever most of these teams lose, even when Tennessee wins, I'm up here jumping around, celebrating, letting you know all about it. When they lose, I don't disappear. I don't, fade away into non-existence. I'm right here, giving my crow for whatever team that we lost to, which I've had to give my crow various amounts of times, and pretty much every Tennessee fan who's been on here for more than a year has. So that being said, just these fan bases, specifically the Georgia ones that have been around for less than a year, enjoy them while they're around, because 99% of them, the moment Georgia loses, will no longer be around. You won't see them again, ever. So, well, I think that about wraps it up for today, Lucas. I don't really have anything else to say. We can go ahead and take a look at the comment section before we jump on out of here for the night. Let's see. Don't worry, Nissan Stadium isn't worse than the Jags Stadium. I haven't been, of course, been to Nissan Stadium, but I have yet to go to the any Jacksonville games, so maybe I'll have to test that one out in the future. Vandy's beating Tennessee. 6-6 is the floor. 2023 SEC champion Vanderbilt Commodores.
Wait, did Jared actually say that?
No, it was a joke by Matty Sims, but it wouldn't surprise me if that's what I heard next. Whatever happened to Jack Miller? You're talking about the Florida quarterback.
Jack Leg. Jack Leg.
Yeah, he's still on the roster. He's just probably not starting this year unless Graham Mertz gets hurt for whatever reason. So, I bet there's some Florida fans out there who want him to start for whatever reason, which I can't really blame them for it. I wouldn't want that guy starting. But
I mean, I heard in the spring game he looked terrible, but I mean, of course, I didn't watch the spring game, but that's just what I heard, that he looked bad.
Right. And that's the way it is. Fun fact, Graham Mertz is only 3 days older than me.
Wait, really?
That's what Matty Sims said. That's crazy. UTSA is no cupcake. They're a really good team. Group of 5 standards, I would have to agree, but against the top, the upper echelons of the Power 5, not really much going for them.
Yeah, they're the second best Group of 5 team behind Tulane, I would think. Because Tulane, they're going to be really good again. They bring back that quarterback, Michael Pratt. They do lose Tajay Spears, though. The Titans drafted Tajay Spears, and he's been looking really good.
Yeah. So if UTSA ends up being like a Tulane-esque team, then it'll be something to watch. I will say that. I'm in my 5th year of college, for reference. Matty Sims says, that's well. That I guess that makes sense since Graham Mertz, he's in his 5th year, so I guess that would be the thing that people think about. Yeah.
But yeah, I'll say this. I do think that Tennessee will be competing for championships in a few years, but I feel like the year that Tennessee could actually compete for the national championship could be 2025, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Because you have Nico at quarterback, Mike Matthews, Squirrel White. Our offensive line is going to be better. You have Shamrod Umarov. I don't know. I can't remember who else you have. In the backfield, you have Cameron Selden, Dylan Sampson will be back. You have Kalia Keith.
Mm-hmm.
And defense, you have I can't remember. But
some elite
of course,
guys,
yeah. But yeah, those elite guys, they're going to be like sophomores or juniors by that time. So yeah, I think if the year that and plus Tennessee, I'm pretty sure won't have Georgia on their schedule that year, or Alabama, I would think, because they're going to the 8-game conference schedule thing, and I'm pretty sure they're only doing one permanent opponent. And I'm pretty sure Tennessee's one permanent opponent, I would think, is going to be Vandy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if Tennessee wants to win a national championship, I feel like 2025 is the year to do it.
Yeah. I would have to say so, and it would be a great year for it. We still have to see how this layout for the new SEC schedule looks like. We know who we're playing, we just don't know how they're going to lay that out. So I'm looking forward to seeing it, because of course I know we play a bunch of our rivals, Oklahoma, Arkansas. Yeah, definitely going to be fun to watch in 2024. I will say that. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. Definitely.
Yeah, 24 is definitely going to be a fun year, I would think.
Yeah, this year will be fun too. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
So that's go ahead.
Yeah, I'm very excited about the future for this football team.
Yeah, I know we finally have a good team to root for. Yeah. No, it's always fun rooting for, the Vols. So I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to the future of this show. So that is where we're probably going to wrap it up for tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, make sure to drop a like and sub up to Squidtard and Squidtard Sports if you haven't already. We're going to be doing more of these shows in the future over here with Lucas Sharp. That way. We're looking for... still looking for our third co-host at this time. I'll have more info on that in the future. Whether or not we even have a third co-host is up in the air right now, but I'm looking forward to the future of this show, and we'll have many more topics in the future. Join us next week when we talk about whatever news is awaiting us in terms of Tennessee football, and we've only got about 4 more weeks until the kickoff of the college football season, so it won't be too much longer until we're finally able to watch some of these football games. We'll be doing coverage on every single most of the games throughout the weeks, throughout the season, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. And of course we'll have guest stars, as Anthony said, depending on who are playing that week. So pending we play Florida, we're definitely going to be up for that. And in the future, of course, we'll have the StreamYard link open, and we'll have call-ins and let people call in and talk about whatever they want to talk about. We're going to have a great time on this show. So great pilot episode, Lucas, and I'm looking forward to working with you for the future.
Yeah, me too, man. This has been an amazing episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this has a bright future out of it.
Right.
This has been really fun, man.
So before we head out, Lucas, why don't you tell the people what's going on over on your channel or on your social media? Let them know about where we can follow you at.
All right. For my YouTube, it's just literally my name. It's just Lucas Sharp. You just put in my name, and my channel pops right up. I've thought about changing my name. I can't think of a different name to change it to, so I just stuck with my original name. But I just go on. I just ramble on about Tennessee football and the Tennessee Titans. That's all I do. I just walk around in circles. That's all I do. And but yeah, also my Twitter, it's the same thing. My handle though is that it's at Lucas Sharp UT. Make sure you go follow me on Twitter. I'm trying to hit 1,000 followers. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, following Lucas, I will say, is definitely entertaining. So definitely follow that if you're in for entertainment value over there on the Twitter. And I will make sure in the future to put both of those, the YouTube and the Twitter, in the description.
Or should I say X? I forgot it's called X now.
Right, I completely forgot to. Why? Why do you even call it that? Oh, jeez. Yeah. Point is, make sure you go follow that guy over there, Lucas Sharp, and over here on Squidtard, you can stay tuned for more predictions in the future. For the I think, what was the prediction released today? I think today I went ahead and dropped Kansas State and for the Florida man tomorrow. The Florida Gators predictions are being dropped, so stay tuned for that. I have a lot to say about Florida, so that's all there is for us today. Thank you guys so much for watching again, and of course, as always, over here from the VOLSTAR podcast, go Vols, baby. Woo!
What makes Rocky Top different?
People.
Fans were awesome. Environment better than anything I've ever experienced.
There's a lot of great things happening at Tennessee Athletics.
I'm excited to be in Knoxville, Tennessee right now. I believe this city is going to be upside down tonight.
Season-long party continues on Rocky Top.
This is about as good as it gets. This is wild in here right now.
This should be called Rocking Top, not Rocky Top. The place is shaking already.
How much fun is this, man? I love it.
University of Tennessee, the first school in history to host all 3 game days between football and basketball. So there you go. It's lit.
This place, when they're good, is as loud and as electric as the theater.
There are very few places that are as beautiful as the Great Smoky Mountains.
Couldn't be more excited about the success that we can have here.
Astronauts coming down to be part of this.
See? We got football going, both basketballs, baseball, softball. We even got Vols breaking records in space. In space, man. Okay, I see. That's not enough. Good. 'Cause we've been doing this a long time.
Here comes Tennessee through the power team.
The fans here, the best fans in the country.
They can smell a second straight national title.
This might be the most lit crowd we've had all season.
Gam, ham, sack.
Tennessee dribbles out the clock. 2 seconds, 1 second. And the Lady Volunteers of Tennessee have repeated as national champions.
The loudest environment I've ever witnessed in
Everybody
person.
standing at Thompson Bowling Arena. What a roar from this crowd, and they've been in this game all night long. Pandemonium reigns.